Well, thanks for staying with us. You're watching The World is One News. My name is Mohammed Saleh, and over the course of the next half an hour, we'll be bringing you up to speed with everything that's happening around the world. The Father Tom Ulunalil, who was rescued earlier this month from Yemen, will be reaching India. He'll be meeting Prime Minister Narendra Modi after his arrival. And also, Father Tom was abducted, remember, by ISIS in March 2016 after an attack on an old people's home that was run by the missionaries in the southern port city of Aden in Yemen. The Tamil Nadu government has directed an inquiry commission to submit its probe report on Jayalalitha's death within 3 months' time. Now, this comes barely a month after Chief Minister Palanisamy had announced that his government will be probing the circumstances which led to the demise of J. Jayalalitha. The government has approved a 25,000 crore internal security scheme to strengthen the law and order mechanism, modernize police forces and also to fight terrorism. The Cabinet Committee on Security, which is headed by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, gave its nod for the implementation of modernization of the police forces. Now, facing criticism for his alleged offensive comments to a girl student, the Banaras Hindu University proctor has resigned from his position. This even as the protests continue in the university campus after the police bait and charged the students, demanding justice for a student who had been molested on the campus last week. Now, External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj has ruled out any new window of opportunity for NRIs or people of Indian origin to deposit their high-valued Indian currency, which was declared illegal after the demonetization drive on the 8th of November 2016. Now, the Central Bureau of Investigation has issued a fresh notice to Karti Chidambaram asking him to appear before the agency for questioning on the 4th of October in the Aircel Maxis deal. Now, the notice was issued after Karti refused to appear before the CBI, arguing that a special court had discharged all the accused and had terminated the proceedings in the matter. Now, the police custody of Iqbal Kaskar, the brother of India's most wanted terrorist Dawood Ibrahim, has been extended by another 4 days. The police say that a probe into an extortion case against him is yet to be completed. Now, Kaskar, who was deported from the United Arab Emirates in 2003, is said to be operating Dawood's real estate business in the city of Mumbai. Well, to some international news now, and US President Donald Trump proposes the biggest US tax reforms in over 3 decades. Now, he's offered to cut taxes for most Americans, but this has prompted criticism that the plan favors the rich and the corporate companies and could add trillions of dollars of deficit to the US economy. Now, Trump has vowed to reduce corporate tax rate to 20%, which is the lowest in almost 3 decades. Now, the proposal mainly aims at helping working people and creating jobs, but also faces an uphill battle in the Congress for it to be passed. Meanwhile, US Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer has accused Trump of raising taxes for the middle classes and the working Americans while cutting taxes for the corporates and the rich. The Myanmar government has said that it will redevelop villages that were torched during the violence in the Rakhine state. Now, reports also indicate that the plan for redevelopment of areas is likely to raise concerns about the prospects for the return of as many as 480,000 refugees who had fled Rakhine province after the ethnic violence broke out. United Nations has called for longer-term plans to manage the influx of the Rohingyas into Bangladesh. The organization has said that as many as 480,000 refugees who have entered Bangladesh since August will not be leaving soon. The United Nations is in talks with Dhaka about forming a technical committee with the organization to look at options for longer-term Rohingya settlement. The Turkish Deputy Prime Minister Recep Akdag has said on Wednesday that Turkey will provide at least 100,000 temporary shelters for the Rohingya Muslims in Bangladesh. Now, Akdag visited the camp in Cox's Bazar, where he called on the international community to address the Rohingya crisis and help them restore their rights back in Myanmar. Now, Britain has said that it is disappointed by a US decision to slap duties on the Bombardier jets. The British Prime Minister has promised to protect thousands of jobs that are at the risk of being sacked. Now, May has asked US President Donald Trump to help find a solution to a trade dispute between Bombardier and its US competitor. Now, the ruling threatens as many as 4,200 jobs at the Bombardier plant in the UK province. The British budget airline EasyJet says that it could be flying electric passenger jets on short-haul routes within as short a period as a decade. Now, this is in a push to cut plane pollution. The airline has said in March that it will partner with a US startup, Wright Electrics, to develop electric passenger jet planes. Now, the Ukrainian authorities have evacuated more than 30,000 people after a huge arms depot exploded in Vinnytsia on Wednesday. Now, reports indicate that the arms depot stored missiles and exploded after catching fire. Now, prosecutors have said that the blast was a possible act of sabotage. The Iraqi Kurds have announced a massive yes vote for independence on Wednesday in their referendum. This follows the referendum that has incensed Baghdad and has sparked international concerns in the region. The official results indicate that as many as 93% of the voters had backed statehood in Monday's referendum. The top American counter-terrorism and intelligence officers say that Al-Qaeda and other terror groups which are based in Afghanistan and Pakistan continue to aspire to attack the United States. Now, the officials have said that the Islamic State terror outfit was not the only concern for the United States. They also added that Al-Qaeda is more likely to focus on supporting small-scale, readily achievable attacks against the US. Reeling under deadly heat, Qatar's Human Rights Watch has asked the Gulf state to urgently introduce laws to protect the 800,000 construction workers who are building venues for the 2022 World Cup who are at the risk of working in scorching temperatures. The New York-based organization has also called on Qatar to investigate the worker deaths and their cause and also make it public as to what led to the deaths of so many of these workers who are believed to have been working under such intense heat. And also talking about heat, scientists say that climate change has roasted parts of Europe that faced record-breaking temperatures this summer. A senior researcher has said that they found clear evidence of human influence on this summer's record warmth, both in terms of temperature and also in the heat wave, which has been dubbed as Lucifer. Russia and the United States have agreed to cooperate to build the first lunar space station. The Russian Space Agency has said that the Russians and the Americans will together build systems which are needed to organize scientific missions in the lunar orbit and also to the surface of the moon. This is NASA's long-term project to send humans to Mars and also to colonize the red planet. But the United Nations has raised concerns about the use of robots and has warned that they could destabilize the world through war and unemployment. Now, it is estimated that 30% of jobs in Britain are potentially under threat from breakthrough in artificial intelligence. Just 24 hours after Saudi Arabia ordered to allow women to drive in the region, the government has announced that a woman has been appointed as an assistant mayor of the Al Khobar municipality for information technology. Now, Iman bint Abdullah Al Ghamdi has become the first Saudi woman to hold a top municipal position. Now, Israel's High Court on Wednesday has ruled on a petition against the country's sale of weapons to Myanmar. The United Nations has declared that the government of Myanmar is engaging in ethnic cleansing of the Rohingyas. Now, the court's decision has been kept a secret because the judges issued a gag order on it at the request of the state. Applauding the progress of women in the tech industry, Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella has said that it is good but not sufficient. Nadella reiterated that more women are working in the Silicon Valley, but it should be more about equal opportunity for equal work rather than equal pay for equal work. Russia's main security agency has demanded encryption keys to the popular Telegram messaging app. Now, Telegram CEO Durov has said that the agency had notified him that his firm was in violation of a controversial anti-terror law requiring companies to provide access to encrypted communications that they facilitate. Now, the CEO Durov has denied giving the government the encryption keys. The work begins on US President Donald Trump's controversial border wall with Mexico. Now, new pictures reveal diggers beginning construction work on 8 different prototypes of the barrier. Now, each of the concrete walls will be about 30 feet long and 30 feet tall and will take around a month to build. Now, once constructed, the US Border Agency will decide as to which of the prototypes that it wishes to use on the border. That will cost about $10 billion to build the wall, which will cover around 1,000 miles. Now, a huge iceberg has broken off from an enormous Antarctic glacier. Now, reports indicate that the iceberg was about 250 square kilometers in size, and this is the second such incident in the last 2 years. Now, the Pine Island Glacier is one of the largest in West Antarctica, and it loses about 45 billion tons of ice to the ocean each year, clearly indicating at a trail of global warming. Now, Cameroon's army has forcibly deported as many as 100,000 Nigerians who had fled an insurgency by Islamist militant group Boko Haram since early 2015. Now, the Human Rights Watch have said that the deportations violate international and Cameroonian law and also constitute one of the world's largest recent cases of illegal forced repatriation. The thousands of protesters led by South Africa's largest trade union embarked on nationwide protests on Wednesday. Now, this in response to the corruption allegations plaguing President Jacob Zuma. The Congress of South African Trade Unions called on its more than 1 million members to go on a strike and join marches in major cities, including Johannesburg. The Spanish police chiefs have met at the Catalonian prosecutor's office in Barcelona on Wednesday to discuss plans to block a banned independence referendum on the 1st of October. Now, the Spain's government has said that the police will take control of voting booths in Catalonia to help thwart the referendum that Madrid has declared as illegal. Now, dozens of students remained on lockdown in Barcelona's university on Tuesday. This is a part of a protest in support of an independence referendum in Catalonia called for the 1st of October. The classes remained closed as the students set information points outside the building to promote the banned referendum. The tourists have ever thronged Barcelona, saying that they were not discouraged by the protests taking place ahead of a planned referendum on the Catalonian independence on Sunday. The French government has presented tax and spending cuts on Wednesday in its first budget under President Emmanuel Macron. The government is assured that it will restore France's fiscal credibility in Europe. France expects to bring its public deficit in line with the European Union rules for the first time since 2007. The French President Emmanuel Macron has welcomed Italian Prime Minister Paolo Gentiloni in Lyon on Wednesday for a Franco-Italian summit where they'll be discussing a number of issues, including their intention to study a possible merger of the French military shipyards company Naval Group with the Italian shipbuilder Fincantieri. The France's Michelin-starred chefs were given the star treatment at the Élysée Palace in Paris on Wednesday. The 180 of France's renowned chefs were honoured for their craft and their contribution to French gastronomy. Macron said that they were ambassadors of emotions and feelings, and their restaurants were themselves international attractions. The young chefs from around France vied for the Because d'Or title and a chance to wear the tricolour in the Olympics of cooking. Now, 8 chefs, mostly in their early 30s, donned their aprons and turned their passion into a sport as they competed in Paris in a 2-day contest which ended on Wednesday. The lawmakers brawled in Uganda's parliament for a second day running on Wednesday. This over a fiercely disputed move to change the constitution to let long-ruling President Museveni run for re-election after the age of 75. The MPs exchanged blows and kicks, with some using microphone stands as crude weapons, and at least 2 female lawmakers were carried out of the chamber after collapsing. Brussels has banned advertisements for a sugar daddy dating website in a growing row over whether the business encourages prostitution. Rudy Vervoet has said that the website uses technology to offer a procurement service, which he said was unacceptable. It has been accused of inciting prostitution under Article 380 of Belgium's Penal Code. More than 200 migrants were rescued in the Mediterranean Sea on Wednesday by the Libyan Coast Guard after bad weather broke down their boats. Now, the migrants rescued were from several African countries as well as Syria and Morocco. The Brazilian offshore oil block auction on Wednesday saw big investments from international companies and raised over $1 billion for the cash-strapped nation. The auction was seen as a test of whether market-friendly reforms under President Michel Temer would tempt investors to come back to a sector struggling after years of state meddling and tarnished by a corruption scandal at Petrobras. The Peruvian police on Tuesday arrested a French citizen who was wanted on charges of drug trafficking between Peru and France. A 32-year-old Sheikh Bichir has been sent to criminal court. The police also say that he was involved in an international drug trafficking network that had cocaine inside coffee that was then exported to Europe. The disturbing CCTV footage released by the Los Angeles Police Department shows a possible kidnapping on West 79th Street in South Los Angeles on Sunday. Now, the video shows a man picking up a woman and forcing her into a light grey sedan as she struggles to be released and also tries to exit the vehicle. The man can be seen pulling her back inside and then driving away. The Mexican President Enrique Pena Nieto has said that the search for survivors of a deadly 7.1 magnitude quake has narrowed to just 2 sites in the capital city as hope fades for finding people alive under the rubble. Now, the quake struck 1 week ago, killing as many as 326 people, including 187 people in Mexico City, damaging as many as 11,000 homes. With Puerto Rico's electric grid in shambles after Hurricane Maria, gasoline and diesel have become liquid gold in the United States territory. Now, the island's 3.4 million residents urgently needed to fuel their automobile tanks and also power generators to light their homes and businesses. The U.S. sailors have evacuated Dominican residents on the hurricane-hit Caribbean island this week and have transported them to the nearby islands of Martinique and Guadeloupe. The Category 5 Hurricane Maria had made the landfall on the Dominican Republic on the 18th of September, claiming the lives of 15 people. At least one person was killed and another injured when a rock slide from the El Capitan granite monolith in Yosemite National Park in California rained boulders onto a popular hiking trail. The search and rescue teams have responded to the scene and have assessed the situation. The rocks appear to have fallen from an area near the popular waterfall route during an active time for hiking in the popular national park. The Mexico's Popocatépetl volcano roared back to life early Wednesday morning, spewing incandescent material and also a large plume of ash and smoke into the sky. The eruptions come just a week after Mexico was hit by 2 major earthquakes.